Okay, welcome everybody. Wanted to call this meeting to order. Let's start with the roll call.
Trustee Becerra. Trustee Flanders. Here. Trustee Lyons.
Here.
Trustee Miller.
Here.
And Trustee Ruiz.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right. The adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Okay. Paul Ruiz. Second.
Second.
Carrie Flanders. All right. Preferential Audrey.
Yes. Good.
Aye. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Nay. Okay. Motion carries. 5-0, 6-0, 5-0, 6-0?
plus one.
5-0. Okay. Thank you. All right. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Miss Limbo, can you lead us, please?
Put your right hand over your hearts. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're all snug up here.
All right. Next is the report of closed session, and we do have 2 items to report. In closed session, the board took action to accept the recommendation of an administration hearing panel convened on January 12, 2023, to expel student 202204 through June 30th, 2023, as prescribed in the finding of fact and presented to the Board of Education. The vote was 5-0. Next. Potential litigation, the board voted to close session and unanimously approved the settlement agreement for the case number S202301 regarding student versus BOUSD to provide a free, appropriate public education to student via special education and related services. The vote was 5-0. I think that's supposed to that.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, now we'll start with our student reports. We're going to start with Brea Junior High, Maya and Garrett. Come on down.
Good evening, school board members. We hope you had a nice holiday break and enjoyed time with loved ones. We are excited to be back after winter break to share all of the events that occurred during January as we started our new semester.
For the first time since 2020, students from Brea's sister city, Ansong, Korea, visited Brea Junior High in person. The last 2 years we Zoomed with them, but this year, for 3 days, they shadowed an ASB member during the school day and got to experience life as a Brea Junior High student. They went to our classes, ate lunch with us, and got to experience ASB Parliament and committee work. They even got to meet Bosco the Bobcat, our mascot. We are grateful for the opportunity we had to meet them. New friendships were formed, and so many pictures were taken. It was a great experience for all.
Our soccer teams had their first game on Wednesday, January 18th against Beechwood at Brea Junior High. Both of our teams got the win. Their next game will also be a home game against Nicholas. We're excited to see what our athletes can achieve this season, and we will continue to keep you posted.
Today, we celebrated 283 students who made the principal's list for second quarter with a 4.0 GPA and no N's or U's. They were treated to a snack and received a certificate and a pencil. Great job for all who worked so hard.
Tomorrow, we'll be having our second Pride Party of the year. Students with no minors or cell phone infractions will be invited to the blacktop to listen to music, eat popsicles, and spend time with friends.
Tomorrow's also when Brea Junior High will be hosting its annual homemade silent auction. Eighth graders wrote letters to local businesses asking for donations at the start of the year. All contributions will be auctioned off after school from 3:05 to 3:45 p.m. in our cafeteria. Some items include an autographed baseball from Mike Trout, skateboard decks from Supreme, gift cards from Lazy Dog, McDonald's, Gold's Gym, and so much more. The proceeds will be donated to Homemade Orange County, an organization that helps support the homeless with transitional housing, education, and job placement. We invite everyone to come and check it out.
Looking ahead, on January 26th, ASB will be hosting its annual Touch a Class dance. For those of you who may not know, this is the dance for both 7th and 8th graders where we dress a little nicer and celebrate the start of the second semester. This year, our theme is Let the Sea Set You Free, Touch a Class 2023. Our motto is Flood the Dance Floor with Friends. Last week, teachers nominated students for the World Court based on those who demonstrate a strong academic achievement and pride attitude everywhere every day at Brea Junior High. It is a big honor to be nominated. We are happy to announce our Royal Court is Honey Park, Maya Hamold, Jasmine Long, Bella Williams, Reese Banache, Jackson Wright, Brian Cortels, and Jonathan Kwan. The 8th grade class will vote for a king and queen next week, and they will be announced at the dance. We will let you know who is crowned at the next meeting.
We are excited to see what the new year brings. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Any questions, anybody?
On the auction, that's this Friday?
Yes, correct. Yes.
Okay. And I like your new swag you have on, spirit wear. Very cute. Thank you very much. Any other questions, comments? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now for Brea Olinda High School, Audrey.
All right. Hey, everyone. Happy New Year. Here's what BOHS has done to kick off 2023 so far. ASB is in the process of planning several new tournaments. At the moment, we are working through the bracket of our volleyball tournament to be hosted in the Aux Gym throughout the rest of January. For the first time, we are also holding a Jeopardy-style academic trivia competition to entice our more academically inclined students. Our Mr. Brea contestants have finalized their dance routine and talents in preparation for the pageant taking place January 25th in the Performing Arts Center. It's going to be a super fun night, and our fine arts commissioners have been pouring their heart and soul into this event, so I highly encourage everyone to attend if you're able to make it. More urgently, tomorrow ASB is holding a trifecta. In the morning, we are hosting a disco-themed pep rally to recognize our winter sports teams, followed by our Disco in the Den student section for boys and girls basketball. Then finally, we are having our Friday Night Fever 5th quarter dance. I'm very excited to announce that we have opened our dance to Canyon students for the first time. It's been a long time coming, and I'm really hoping this will become precedent in the future. I'll be talking more about that later in my board report. Our Link crew members are hosting students from Onsong Korea Sister City program. At the rally tomorrow, we will introduce them to the student body and invite them to run out through a banner like we do our sports teams. Now moving on to athletics, boys basketball began their league season with a win against Esperanza High School January 17th. We are hoping they will continue their winning streak tomorrow at their 7 p.m. home game. Girls basketball will also play tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. We are looking forward to getting wild in our disco-themed den and supporting the Lady Cats and Wildcats before the dance tomorrow evening. Girls basketball was also honored with 4-year varsity athlete Brooklyn Kame and sophomore Sarah Wang earning the All-Tournament Award at the Marina Tournament December 31st. Wrestling wrapped up the 2022 by hosting a Holiday Classic tournament December 22nd in the gym. Once again, Captain Darlene Davis progressed through the ranks and represented BOHS well. League finals will take place next week, where we will find out who our league placers are, and BOHS will host CIF on February 10th and the 11th. Girls water polo has also begun their league season with a league record of 1-0. They defeated Yorba Linda Tuesday in overtime and will play Esperanza next. Boys and girls soccer have both had a great start to their season, with guys winning their first league game against El Medina, and the girls are currently in first place in the Century League. The boys currently have an overall record of 4-3-1, and despite the weather challenges that they've had with saturated fields, both of our teams continue to work hard and stay competitive. Our arts department came back from winter break in full force. Drama 1, 2, and 3 performed a play titled First in Line yesterday and today in the PAC. Tickets were sold at the door for $10. And our tech crew has been absolutely killing it, putting together shows, rallies, and our Mr. Brea event, all without an advisor. Band is hosting a fundraiser all day, January 25th at La Puerta. If you're in the mood for some amazing Mexican food, make sure to stop by and support our entertainment corps. They were scheduled to perform at Disneyland last weekend, but that was unfortunately canceled due to the rain. Their next concert will take place February 3rd. Dance has been performing at several festivals to showcase their talent. Their most recent festival was at University High School, January 13th. Our dance production girls will perform at our winter rally tomorrow with hip-hop choreography to iconic disco music. Finally, choir will be hosting their preview show on February 9th, 10th, and 11th, plus hosting a festival for other schools at BOHS February 17th and 18th. That's all for me. Any questions, guys? No?
No, fantastic. Lots of fun things.
All right, great. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And from Canyon High School, Sydney and Sean, are they here tonight? All right, welcome back.
show today? This time?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us. We hope you all had a great holiday season.
We are honored to be here this evening to share with you all of the latest Howl happenings at Brea Canyon.
Before winter break on December 16th, Brea Canyon hosted our very first annual holiday pop-up shop. The event was filled with original products and creations from our Howl print shop, talented local artists, good food and good company. We had an amazing time, and we would like to thank everyone that came to support our school.
We opened the second semester of the school year on January 9th. It has been very exciting to welcome our newest Coyotes. This semester we have 8 transfer students that are now part of our Coyote family. All students are off to a great start this third quarter.
Tomorrow, we will hold our second quarter Coyote Awards Assembly. We will look forward to honoring the students' accomplishments as well as crowning a new Coyote of the quarter. We will keep you posted on who it is. As we reflect back on the first semester of this year, we are proud to share with you that Brea Canyon students recovered a grand total of 608.25 credits in one semester. This is motivation for us to recover even more credits this semester.
Also tomorrow night, Brea Canyon Coyotes have been invited to attend Friday Night Fever at Brea Olinda. We would like to extend a huge thank you to student board member Audrey Pagano for this invitation. We look forward to dancing the night away with the Wildcats.
We have one more addition to our Coyote family that we wanted to share with you. Mr. Orta and his wife welcomed a new baby, Miguel Orta, over winter break. We wish Mr. Orta and his wife the biggest congratulations and much rest.
Upcoming in February, we will be celebrating Black History Month. We are excited to have different school activities throughout the month to honor this.
That is the latest that has been taking place on our campus. Thank you, everyone. We look forward to seeing you all. Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions? Yeah. Go ahead.
Thanks to both of you guys for being leaders in the schools and providing opportunities for you to connect with each other instead of staying separate. You know what I mean? So it just makes me really happy to hear about those things and the dances and how pleasant and kind you are to each other about it. And, you're receiving the information and you're going and you guys are going to have such a great time. So that just makes me happy.
Yeah. And to add on to that, thank you guys for having me at Canyon. It was so nice to see you guys in person, outside of this setting. But yeah, it should have been happening this whole time. So I'm really excited for this to continue in the future, and hopefully you guys are going. So we'll see you there. Okay, great. See you there.
Awesome. Any other questions, comments? Okay, fabulous job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I just have to say something funny. I was teasing Audrey because I have to, because, we clapped after the junior high, and then Audrey speaks from the dais, and we're like this. And then we clapped right now, and I looked over and I said, welcome to the dais. You don't clap for
Exactly. So true.
I know, she's like, stop it. It's funny. It's funny.
All right, next up is the elementary showcase featuring Country Hills. So if Country Hills students and staff would like to come up, and for any parents that are here to take pictures, you can stand behind us and take pictures of them. So you're more than welcome. So come on down. I know. You're shy until the students start talking, and then you want to get it.
Right. Oh my goodness, we have an audience everywhere. You all ready? Who's January? Do you guys know when to come up? I'll just give you the microphone when it's time. Okay, well, hello everyone. I'm Shelly Lopez, principal of Country Hills, and thank you to the board, cabinet, and audience members for having us. Very excited to be here. Since the last time that we had this presentation, a couple of things have happened where we received the Silver PBIS award as well as a California Distinguished School Award. So very exciting. And we wanted to start the evening off with our student council members here. And we are going to, now this book was written in the 70s, so you don't have to admit if you remember this. But Chicken Soup with Rice, they kind of modeled it after that. It's called A Year in the Life of a Cougar, and Miss Limbo and Miss Hirota are student council leaders, advisors, and this is based on the book of Maurice Sendak. So here is our version of Chicken Soup with Rice. It's Chicken Soup with Rice Country Hills. That's what it is. So I'm going to have students come up, and I'll go to the side and click it, okay? All right, here we go. August.
In August, it'll be so cool, I'll be a student in school. Learning with friends, of course, Common Core once, new stuff twice, goodbye summer, you were nice. In September, after a while, we were blessed with a PBIS style, guiding us every mile, back to school night once, apple day twice, down out islands, and drink passion tea on ice.
Yeah, I think we skipped that.
Oh, it went to November. I apologize.
In November, gustily gales. The first trimester ended well. The turkeys in disguise here and there. Teacher of the day, once chess masters twice. It's turkey time for a week with stuffing and rice.
In December, Country Hills did see second grade's holiday show of culture festivity. Sixth grade walked the ancient world, sing along with choir once. Is it vacation yet twice? We're ready for mountains with snow and ice. In January, Cougars will start the year off with positive attitudes and growth mindset. Perseverance once, kindness twice. Trying a different way is always good advice.
In February, it will be time to jump. Jumping for a good cause keeps us light on our feet and helps our heart pump. Vocabulary Hat Parade expands our knowledge. Global Play Date once. Friday Show twice. Going on field trips is paradise. In March, the wind blows in the best track meet. And Pioneer Day, that's such a treat. 120 Days Smarter is such a delight. Family STEM on the field at night. Experiments once, open house twice. PTA support is always so nice.
In April, first grade will go away to the cube to explore animal habitats all day and dream about spring break. Hooray! Tour of Brea once. Is it a vacation twice? Testing is coming. Any advice?
In May, I truly think it best to be American colonists, lightly dressed, and attend the Cougar Carnival as a guest. Fifth grade wax museum once, pageant of the masters twice, learning about art is nice. In June, we will shed a tear for the sixth graders leaving us this year. Off to the junior high once, make us proud twice, always a Cougar is the best advice.
Yeah, well, October's not in there, the slideshow. I don't know. Yeah. I apologize.
Yeah.
October, would you like to read yours? There we go. Let's have perfect. October's a good one, guys.
In October, we were host to a PTA rock and run and some Halloween ghosts with the Kinder Boot Camp Parade we loved the most. Conference week once, Big Buddies twice. iReady started on every device.
Okay, and so that is the end of our student council portion. Here for our do you guys want to sit back down?
You want a picture?
You want a picture first?
Sure.
Okay.
You want to, okay.
Go in the mush pot. and then we'll get to the excitement of the data. There we go. Shelley, am I in? Okay. And I know it's a school night, so if you guys want to go home, or you can stay for all the fun tours that we're going to go over right now. But if you want to go home, I'm going to do that.
Thank you so much. You guys did an awesome
Champion
job.
just stood up. He's ready to go home.
Right.
Awesome job.
Awesome job,
Good
Cougars.
job, guys. See you tomorrow. Okay. All right. So our overview highlights include my little, not up there. This is not up there. There it is. Thank you. All right. So our demographics, here we are with our numbers. As you can see, our numbers, and actually this happened last year as well. We just got about a dozen kids in the last couple of weeks for some reason. We're just, all of a sudden, we kind of have a burst of enrollment. So, but our numbers are really manageable. We've got we've got 3 of every grade level except for 6th, and 6th is getting a little crowded now. But we have really manageable numbers, and the teachers are really happy that they can meet students' needs, especially in 2nd and 3rd grade, staying in the 20s. So that's been really nice. And we do also have a full-time library media technician, reading specialist. We have the district preschool at our site. We have our CDS before and after school care, and our new Elevo that is happening coming soon in February. Our EL program, we'll talk a little bit later when we look at the data for that, is flourishing, and one of our highest areas in our school. And of course, our Jump for Heart that Miss Limbo runs. Last year, we raised $20,000, and they honored us here at a board meeting. And now the pressure is on because every year we raise more money. So she's starting to get a little nervous about that, but I know it'll go really well. The kids love it. So we should be okay. And now some fun things, some more highlights. Arts and science, we have our science and math. I won't read them all to you because they're right there on the screen, but we have so many opportunities for students to engage and enjoy learning, especially our robotics club will be starting pretty soon, I think in February, right around the corner. Chess and Rubik's Cube Club, they are from the same teachers that come to our school, and PTA supports that after school. We've got our arts and visual music and visual arts, which include art masters. We have music for grades K through 3 because they don't have band access, so we wouldn't want to leave them out of music. So it's an introduction into music. And then our performing arts opportunities, which we invite you to attend. Almost every grade level has something major that they put on throughout the year, sometimes more than once. So we have a lot of great things happening. We just had our ancient civilization interactive. You can check our Instagram, our interactive assembly, where students actually have speaking parts and they dress up for the time period and they learn all about ancient civilizations. So that's really exciting for them. Okay, and for iReady, we are right in the middle of Diagnostic 2 window. So we didn't have Diagnostic 1 and 2 to compare. So we thought we would show you Diagnostic 1 last year compared to this year. And here's where we have the crucial conversations sometimes that last year we were at 45% for reading and we did go down to 43%. So we are, of course, looking at that, more information to come on that, on how we're addressing that. And the good news is that in math, we went from 30% at the beginning of the year to 37% at this beginning of the year. So we're definitely making strides. And I'll show you a little, once I show you the dashboard, it'll be a little more clear there. So here's our CASP data, and I'm gonna round it up, 65% met or exceeded the standards for English language arts, and 67% met or exceeded the standards for math. So those are our performance bands by grade level. And again, those are those conversations that we're going to have in our PLC collaborations, where we scrutinize where the different bands either expand or contract based on grade levels and why that might be. And we look at specific groups. So speaking of specific grouping, here is our new California dashboard. And Phil said to look at it like cell phone towers, which I love, because otherwise I was like, And you actually cannot see it on here, but if you have my presentation, so there are 5 towers. It's hard to see up on here, but for instance, our English language arts, we're high, and we are 4 out of the 5 towers. Same thing with mathematics, which is great, and we'll compare this to the state data in just a minute. And then also our English language learner progress is very high. So it's on a scale from very high to very low. And our chronic absenteeism is another thing that we are working on as we speak. We are in the medium range, which again, I'll show you the difference between us and the state level, which is not great. It's not terrible, but it's not great. We'd like to improve that. And so we're working really hard with the SARB process, letters, conference with parents, really doing outreach with parents to make sure that we can look at what the reason is for the absenteeism and try to give supports and resources. And also the suspension rate then is low. And unfortunately, suspension is sometimes necessary, but it is low, and we definitely incorporate restorative practices. And suspension is it's the last consequence that I prefer to give. So we like to keep that low so that we can have those restorative opportunities with students and really teach them, what they need to know to be successful. Okay, so here we are with ELA. You can see that on the left side, this is our school, all students, and on the right side is how we stack up to the state. So the state for English language arts is low, 2nd bar. We are high, 4th bar. Now, again, when we look at we do have to, it's fun to be excited about our high points, but we also want to look, I'm going to point out that there's a low and a medium with Hispanic students, students with disabilities, and socioeconomically disadvantaged. So again, we are working in our PLCs to make sure that we really identify those students, and we work really hard because we want students at all our students at high levels. All means all. That's also true for our math. We have We have high and very high. We're high compared to the state, which is actually low, so that feels really good. But then if you really dig a little bit deeper, you see that we have some work to do in some of the subcategories of our students that have disabilities and might be socioeconomically disadvantaged, as well as Hispanic. And that is a big priority for us to identify that and work towards it. So our suspensions, here we are. We have the state is medium, we are low. Like I said, 0.9% is pretty good. I like that, under 1%. And so we want to look also at the high and medium. We have very low, or we have low for Hispanic and white, very low for Asian, English learners, or 2 or more races. And then chronic absenteeism. And we know that this is a problem statewide. So state, it's very high. We're medium, but we are doing, we're doing all the things right now. That really is a priority for us to address that. And also State Superintendent Tony Thurmond, he just launched a webinar series about that, on how to address that issue across the state. So very interested in seeing how, besides what we're doing, how we can help students correct the absenteeism. And then here we are with our English learner progress. We are very high compared to the state is medium. We have 70.2 students making progress towards EL proficiency. And we just received a huge Romanian population of students. And so we will just continue to do what we're doing. We have a great EL program. We're utilizing our TOSA, who's amazing. And so we are definitely working on those. We want to get high levels for everyone. That's the goal. All right. So now that we're done with the business part of it, okay, so now that we've looked at the fun things and also the academics and some of the challenges that we are facing, we want to talk about how we're meeting those challenges. These are 2 quotes that I think, I'll tell you how we're meeting these challenges. First of all, this is our mindset, that every child you pass in the hall has a story that needs to be heard, and maybe you're the one meant to hear it. That is the culture of our school. Also, that every child deserves a champion, not a Rick champion, but just a champion. I love that joke. It never gets old. An adult who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists that they become the best that they possibly can be. And again, that is our mindset. So that's where we're starting. Where are we going to meet those challenges? We are aligned to the district philosophy of continuous improvement. We're always looking at ways to improve. We have lots to celebrate, so that's always fun. But then I don't stay in that very long. We kind of, okay, now what do we need to do to make sure that students are being successful? We're committed to continuing good work, and we're all doing that good work. And truly, all means all. So every single student, every face, every name, every story. Identifying our populations is super important. It feels uncomfortable. I don't like to look at it, but we have to. We have to know who are our kiddos, what are they doing, how can we help them? So that's how we're meeting the challenges as far as mindset goes. So have I gone on too long? I feel like let me tell you all about Country Hills. Okay. So how do we address that? We make wildly important goals. And so thanks to Brenda, we were trained in the 4 disciplines of execution this summer. And we spent quite a bit of time looking at what would move our organization forward. What do kids need in order to be successful? Where do we even start? Right? So when you're looking at data, it can kind of be overwhelming. And minimizing the whirlwind, because we know that the teaching is kind of sometimes for us principals, the least of it. we've got all the other components happening, and we're trying to put out fires, and we're dealing with all the things. So as a principal, how do you really focus, and how do you kind of minimize the attention to the whirlwind, because it gets overwhelming? And so we wanted to make sure that the finish line was clear. We made wigs that from X to Y by a certain time. What do we need to do? And it was across the board. It was kind of awesome. First couple of weeks, we get all together, and every single grade level said it's behavior. It's behavior. It's inability to self-regulate. There's a lot of social emotional components, and it's really getting in the way of us moving on, with academics. So we looked at that, and we focused across every single grade level, and we looked at behavior. So several factors contributed to the decline of appropriate social behaviors. We know that. There will be a study done at some point, and I'll say, see, I knew it. And they needed to be addressed, and we want to ensure engagement, connectedness, and achievement. So here are our wigs. With no further ado. So lower grades were just a little bit different because their wig, we decided to increase reinforcement of positive student behavior. We know from our PBIS that is what changes behavior. We know that that's what's good for students, and every grade did it a little bit differently. So as we were going through the process of the wigs, it was all in alignment, but it was also developmentally appropriate for every grade level. That was super exciting. So what we did was, for lower grade levels, they kind of had a year. Their X to Y by when, their when was by the end of the year, because things move a little bit slower and it takes a little bit longer to see those improvements. Whereas the upper grades, 3rd through 6th, they wanted to increase by trimester, 5% by trimester. And you might say, okay, well then how do you identify positive reinforcement going up by 5%? Good question. And there was no immediate answer, but we did come to one. So basically, every grade level decided how they were going to reinforce either Cougar Cash. The upper grades love Class Dojo. It's really effective. It has like a lot of graphics for parents and easy handling. And so every single grade level decided how they were going to do that. For example, 1st grade was going to give Cougar Cash, and the way that they would find out if they increased by their 5% is they would have a certain amount of cash, and it was their goal to positively reinforce students with the behavior that they were seeking with that cash amount, and then when they were finished with that, increase that cash. And then when that was gone, they could tell that they had, if that makes sense, they could increase it depending on how fast their students were going, but definitely by that first trimester, there had been a lot of improvements in behavior, a lot. So really students just needed, and we know this through the research, that they just needed explicit instruction in those areas. That's what PBIS tells us, but this was on a different level. So it was really interesting. It's going really well. So we wanted to focus on those wildly important goals, and then how do we do that? How do we focus on those goals? Because it's not just about the positive reinforcement, it's also the explicit teaching. So SEL really is that graphic that there is there with the home and community, school, then classrooms are inside of that. And what's happening in the classroom is that instruction on self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, responsible decision-making, and relationship skills. And we're spending time on that. We are teaching kids all of those aspects. The way that we collect data for that is that we have our counselor who does minute meetings, the increase of Cougar Cash and Dojo points, as I mentioned, even our iReady scores. Like, we're looking at when we're spending time on these categories, how is that improving academics? Because that's also, we want kids to be successful. That's our goal. So also all the things that I mentioned previously, attendance procedures, teacher input. We have been working on transforming the SST process to the Kids to Watch, KTW process, which another Diana, our TOSA, is helping us with. She's amazing too. And, but also parent requests. We have parents saying, my student is really struggling in this area. how can you, what can we do? And that's like one of my favorite things to address. So we also have students, our kids that can self-advocate. We've got 6th graders that come up and say, I'm having a really hard time with some of these other kids. Can we talk to Miss T? Can we have a restorative circle? They're self-advocating for that. So that's really awesome. And they know they can always come to the office and they can always ask their teacher too. So it's a safe space for kids. So again, that really helps with academics ultimately. We're going to see that by the next time I talk to you. And then MTSS. MTSS is one of my favorite things because it's all of the things under the umbrella. It's the tiered response to intervention, but then it's the 3 categories. So we've got academics, SEL, and behavior, and we know how all of those categories, students can be, there are kids who just need tier 1 in all 3, and there are kids who need tier 3 in all 3, and there are kids that, is tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So it's really, it's for me, it's interesting to see every student individually and what they need and meet their needs based on, again, our formative assessments, our minute meetings, again, having students talk to us, following through with them, check in, check out. There's a lot that we do during the day. And then ultimately, how are we helping our teachers move along? So we see how the kids are doing. We've got that mindset. We made our wigs. We're making great progress. And now, how are we helping teachers? I feel like this is something that we can improve on. It seems like PDs, there's just never enough time in the day. And so PDs tend to be, something that is on our wish list, but I would love to see this be more of a focus. And so the way that we're going to support teachers is having our summer PD days. I would like to do teacher surveys and just see, we have such a wide range also of veteran teachers versus brand new teachers. So everyone's different. So that's why January 27th is so exciting that we all can kind of go to our own sessions. But we also need some, planned whole site PD. And so I would love to see that happen too. And we're going to be looking at our survey results from the FIA. So that's MTSS, see what's working, what's not working, how we can adjust. And then also our grade level collaboration days, plan, do, study, act. We're still planning, doing, looking at, is it working? Is it not working? What do we do next? And then acting on that. And our additional professional development, looking at UDI for math in the Universal Design for Learning, right? Instruction? UDL. Sorry, I put I. And especially for math, because that is something that we can do as an entire, doesn't matter if you're a veteran or a new teacher, those are things that can help our instruction. So we also have trauma-informed teaching, and we have a lot of teachers that take different classes, different coursework, and they've actually been coming in and sharing with our staff. So we want to facilitate those opportunities. Okay, I'm almost done. So 21-22 reflections. I just wanted to share with you. So we met last year around this time. I think it was a little later. And I thought it was interesting to look at what we were talking about last year and then see, okay, well then how did we address that? Because I also want to make sure that we're, following through with things. So our RTI, we were really working on that program. We were trying to make it more rigorous. Our reading specialist is utilizing specific curriculum, such as ABC Bootcamp and Haggerty, and she has gone to several trainings. She's actually training our Kinder staff this summer to incorporate the ABC Bootcamp. And so that's happening with our RTI program is mostly for ELA at this moment because we do have a full-time reading specialist. So, and then our zones of regulation, I know some people in the past were trained. We didn't have any new training per se, but we did have the school counselor, the RBT, so Sonia's staff that comes in, and also myself. I have a whole corner of my office now. You'll have to come see. That is designed for social, emotional, and and zones of regulation, and then students can kind of work it out, and then we talk, and then they can move on with their day. So training and support for paraeducators, that's always been important, and I've seen that again, January 27th, we've had opportunities for paras, and also at my site level, they work really closely with the teachers, and the teachers are very hands-on. Increased family community engagement, we have coffee with the principal, social nights, activities. Last year it was like so fun because it was after COVID, so we could start doing those things. So this year we're going to have more of the same. We have the ice cream socials and science night and all of those fun things. And also exploring our counselor is a huge piece of the puzzle, and she is working on all three of the domains of school counseling, which is that School Counseling 101, all the tiers there. And she is constantly collecting data. I should bring her next time and let her share with you. So our continuing practices, we're going to continue our collaboration, our vertical articulation for ELA and math. Our TOSA input and collaboration has been huge. We're using research-based instruction practices, differentiating our instruction and inclusion practices. Data analysis for our MTSS domains is ongoing. Our refinement of the SST process has been huge because when we're meeting more often about our kiddos, we're talking specifics. It's not just our, twice a year, 3 times a year. It's our every couple of months, and then we're following through on what we had lined up as those interventions. So that's been very exciting with Diana Bianco. And teacher-driven professional development, again, with our teacher instructions. And so finally, I just wanted to thank my wonderful student council, our staff at Country Hills, all of our student families, our PTA, district cabinet, Board of Education, and my amazing admin team. I just want to thank all of the people on this slide because I could not do what I do without you. So thank you so much. And are there any questions?
I don't have any questions, just a comment. So you did a fabulous job. I know this was the first time of the year for having the showcase, but you did fabulous tonight. We love seeing the students. That's, no offense, but that's our favorite part.
No.
The data part is good, but
Same.
we love the students, so fabulous job.
Yeah, they're super cute.
Thank you. All right, any other questions, comments?
Yeah, I appreciate the time obviously you put into the presentation and the work that went behind it. We've talked about drilling down on the data for so long, and to actually, and you kind of question, can we really then make a difference? And when I hear that you see every kid and you're trying as best we can to make sure we're seeing every child, not just seeing it as a number, we really appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Sorry, speaker. Next on the agenda is the photo representative. Glenda, you'll go ahead and come on up, and then after that, we'll start with our community report, and that's Corey Nguyen. So just so you're on deck. Thank you to the teachers for coming and supporting. Okay, I got your email.
All right, good evening. I know we have a quite full agenda, so I'll keep my report fairly brief this evening. First of all, I'm pleased to report that BOTA came to a tentative agreement with the district on December 7th. I wasn't here at the last meeting to report that, so it's been a little while. But the agreement was ratified by our membership shortly thereafter, and that agreement is on the agenda for your approval this evening. We're exceedingly proud of this new contract, as it includes not only a well-deserved salary increase for our unit members, but also much overdue class size language for elementary teachers, new language which allows professional development to be used towards advancement on the salary schedule in lieu of the traditional university credit, and many more wonderful things. Last week, I signed the tentative agreement, as well as 3 additional MOUs that will serve our members well going forward. Although we have completed the bargaining cycle for the 2022-23 school year, the work does not end here. In fact, in some ways, it begins here. Yesterday, I attended the second in what is becoming a series of meetings with our elementary PE teachers. Laurel Principal Lauren Tovar, who serves as elementary PE coordinator, and Dr. D'Agostino and Dr. Rogers. And this has been an incredible collaboration through which we will see great improvements to our PE program and the working conditions of our PE teachers, and therefore the learning conditions of our students in PE. In early March, we will begin meetings with our new elementary teacher prep committee, something that's near and dear to our teachers' hearts and something that we've been working towards for many years. And that's another product of negotiations. And we hope to find solutions in providing more prep time for elementary teachers. We'll also soon recommence our special education committee, through which we have made many improvements to the working conditions of special education teachers, as well as the general structure of the program. And on a personal note, as a music teacher, I'm particularly excited about the historic passage of Proposition 28, which has allotted about $1 billion annually to school arts and music programs. I can't wait to consult with the district about the implementation of this new funding in the BOUSD. These programs are a great asset to, in that exposure to the arts is not only a creative outlet for students, but also builds self-confidence, encourages teamwork, supplements academic success, and is a great source of social emotional learning. I'd like to thank all the BOTA members for their ongoing input so that I may represent them to the best of my ability, as well as all of you for your continued collaboration. And that concludes my report.
Thank you so much. Any questions or comments? All right, thank you for your continued partnership.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. All right, on the agenda, Lisa Santos is not here tonight, so we're going to move on to our community report. We're going to call up Corey Nguyen to discuss PTA Council and PTO communications. So this is new to the agenda this year.
Hi, everybody. I'm Corey Nguyen. I have 2 kids, Falcon, junior high, all the things. Okay, so here's the reports. I have them individual per the elementary school plus one from the junior high. Aero Vista, the PTA is happy to announce that we have approved the funding of the purchasing and installation of water bottle refill stations at our campus. We are the last elementary school in our district to get these, and it is a very exciting project. We are still in working out the details, but we hope to get the process started soon. Country Hills, already got a great report, but PTA is currently planning some social nights and firming up dates. We have STEAM night, family bingo night, and a family movie night on the horizon. Variety show, we usually have this in February with the main show at the BOHS PAC, but are trying to find a new venue. For Falcon, our January 17th Winter Wonderland STEAM night with Mrs. Thorson went well. It was our first STEAM night of the school year. January Dining for Dollars event will be at Chipotle all day, January 24th. 11 to 9 p.m. if you're hungry. Please come out and support if you can. In February, we'll be offering Valentine's Friends Grams. Dining for Dollars monthly event will be announced. We'll also be buttoning up our Mashathon awards for students and planning a school-wide event to thank everyone who participated. And my personal favorite is the play. We are really working hard. Your kids were there. Some of these kids up here were there today. We all had rehearsal today, and then I ran here. We're going to be having our show at the high school in February. We hope that you guys can all buy tickets and come support us. And we thank the district, as always, for helping us secure that location and supporting that program. Mariposa. PTA has been busy the last few months. We completed our Jogathon, which raised enough money to continue to fund our academic enrichment programs, which includes life science for grades 4 through 6 and both art and music lessons for the entire student body. The funds will also go towards providing improvements to our multipurpose room. In addition to fundraising, we hosted our Angel Tree program, which provided support for 6 deserving Mariposa families this past holiday season. We look forward to an active winter-spring season with community events including Muffins with Monarchs, a school dance, and a talent show. Olinda says we are working with Moonlight Music to bring keyboarding lessons to lower elementary. The classes have begun, and the Moonlight staff is doing an amazing job of engaging a large group of students to teach music and piano. In February, we have our big fundraiser, a Lego Jogathon. We are gearing up for this big event by gathering sponsors and getting big prizes for our students. We are hoping to report a great result. In April, our honor choir will be performing the Star Spangled Banner at the Angels baseball game. Our families will be attending in support of our students. We are also gearing up to add a new playground structure for our kindergarten and main playground areas. the Brea Junior High PTA sponsored a holiday luncheon for the teachers and staff in December. Staffers enjoyed a nacho bar, hot cocoa bar, and dessert bar thanks to the many BJH families that donated. BJH is currently preparing for our silent auction in May. Letters will be going out to the community for items to auction during open house. Money raised from the silent auction will go directly back to the school to help assist with various needs throughout the campus. And I have one more from Laurel at the last moment. Just give me 1 second. Okay, Laurel PTO is currently preparing for their annual color run happening next month, which is their biggest fundraiser of the year. Their PTO board and members continue to oppose the rezoning and proposed development of Gaslight Square. For the safety of Laurel's students and families, they are rallying the community to voice their disapproval of this project. That's it.
Thank you. One question, are there play tickets left?
Yes, there are.
Okay.
Yes, Little Mermaid is sold out. But yes, Aladdin tickets, we haven't even sold them yet, so we will be posting them on social media. I will forward it out to all of the principals as well to hopefully share on their social medias. And there's 4 shows, 2 casts, February 24th, 25th, and 26th.
Awesome. Thank you
Hope
so
to see you
much.
there. I
Looking
know I'll see
forward
you
to
there.
it.
Thank you.
So great job, Corey. Any questions, comments? All right.
Thank
Great
you.
job and
Thank you.
welcome. All right. We are moving. You guys never clapped for me when I did that. Sorry. I know. Oh, that's right. Yeah, we don't do that. Okay, moving on to board committee reports. And we will start with you, Chris.
Awesome. So at the last board meeting, I was volunteered, asked to be a part of the ROP board, which I was super excited about. Career technical education is something that's near and dear to my heart as my kids attend a career exploration elementary school in the district. And so I was sworn in, and there are 3 new board members out of the 7 that are on the board. And I'm excited to work with past BOUSD employees, Dana Lynch, who's the superintendent, and Dr. Kelly Kennedy, who's the assistant superintendent. So I've only been there once so far. But I'm looking forward to the partnerships and looking to see, how our CTE programs are better and growing because of our relationship with ROP. So it's great.
Perfect. Thank you. Carrie Flanders, do you have anything?
Let's see. We met, the Orange County School Board Association met last night via Zoom. I couldn't attend because I had a family emergency, but they're getting me minutes for that. So I'll report that next time. And the Delegate Assembly doesn't meet until March. So March, yeah. So I'm good.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And Paul, do you have anything for Brea Education Foundation?
Brea Education Foundation. And they talked about their March 23rd State of the Schools breakfast. And if you need tickets, they're online. June 5th, they're having a golf tournament at Top Golf. It's kind of a different kind of tournament. And you can get some more information from their website. And lastly, they need volunteers, advisors, and board members. And if you're interested, go to www.breaedfoundation.org, and they should have a link. They should have a link now that actually says volunteer or join.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Paul, it's you again for nominating committee of Orange County. Nothing?
Nothing this month.
Okay. And Audrey, your student board member representative.
I've been continuing with my school visits, so I've been visiting all the elementary and secondary schools. So far, I visited Canyon, Brea Junior High School, Country Hills, Mariposa, and Arrow Vista. I'm scheduled to visit Falcon February 15th, I believe, so that will be coming soon. Speaking of Canyon, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the dance invitation that was mentioned. I was very honored to be invited to Canyon by Dr. Risberg, or we scheduled a meeting together. It was my first time being there, and something that came up was that Canyon students aren't allowed, or they're allowed to come to homecoming and prom, but only by Brea Olinda High School student invitation. So, something that came up was that sometimes Canyon students will actually pay Brea Olinda High School students to put them on their guest pass, so they can get a foot in the door to come to these dances. So that didn't sit right with me, and so I asked ASB to amend our guest passes for Brea Olinda or Canyon students so that they would be able to attend without an invitation from a Brea High School student. So our guest passes are amended, so they're able to attend. They just need an emergency contact since they aren't an actual Brea Linda High School student, and just a signature from Dr. Risberg. So that will be hopefully precedent going forward, not just for homecoming and prom, but also for our little dances, like our 5th quarter dance coming up. Real quick, this is the part where I beg, because we don't have enough chaperones for our 5th quarter dance. So if there are any adults that are willing, any willing adults that are, kind enough to sacrifice their Friday evening to, make sure nothing gets too crazy, which it won't. It'll be super easy. That would be fantastic. You can reach out to me or my advisor, Pam Valenti. It's pvalenti@bousd.us, and we would be super duper grateful for that. So let me know.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. All right. Moving on to superintendent report. Brenda?
I didn't see any hands go up, too. Yeah, we're going to have to talk about that.
My child would never let me do that.
Josh, do you want your superintendent there supervising? What's that? I said, do you want your superintendent there supervising a dance? Yes. Look how uncomfortable you made, Dr. Porter. I love it. That's fantastic. Anything for our high school. And Audrey. So you're great. Thank you for being here. We're excited. Yeah. And you didn't brag about, can I brag about you before I get started? So if I have to, I do have to. And I even told Dr. Porter. So in preparation of the board meeting, Audrey is so dedicated that she agrees to have lunch with me and Annette a couple days before. She gets to have lunch, and it's great. We review the agenda and we explain the district initiatives and the items on the agenda, so she's fully informed. But she's really bright, and so it's college application season and college acceptance season. So I say, hey Audrey, how's it going? And I'm just so excited and thrilled to announce that she received a full ride to the University of La Verne, not only for academics and her classes, but also for lodging, for room and board. And so we're so proud of you. You're just, yeah, that's a huge accomplishment. So congratulations. Thank you for letting me embarrass you for a little bit, but we're all so proud of you. So thank you. All right, so that takes us right into our mission, being a devoted educational community that develops our students to become local and global influencers through dynamic learning experiences. And then the core value I'd like to highlight tonight is our core value of inclusion, in that we nurture an environment that fosters a sense of belonging to celebrate the unique qualities of our diverse community. Starting off with our general accolades tonight, really want to send a huge thank you and shout out to our Child Development Services Department for hosting a parent meeting for our families to learn more about our early childhood education programs at Olinda last night. So thank you, Larry. Larry was there and assisted us as well, along with our other elementary principals. But a lot of parent interest for preschool and TK. Penny shared with me today that about 80% of the families in attendance were interested in our preschool programs. So it was a packed house. You guys know how big that NPR is, and it was really full. So that was encouraging to see that. So thank you, Phil and Penny and Meredith and Amy. So it takes a village, and they were out in force. And then later on in the evening, this evening, we'll talk about our California Distinguished Schools, but we're so happy to announce that Country Hills, Olinda, and our Brea Online Academy were recipients of this distinguished honor by the California Department of Education. So, our community will soon see emblems painted on our school sites, and we're working on other banners and swags and things like that. Over the winter break, our Brea Junior High Forensics class was highlighted in Parenting OC's magazine. The feature focused on schools showcasing innovative ways to teach STEM through crime scene investigation and forensic programs. And we just thank our teacher, Mr. Woodward, for teaching such a fun and unique class. And I know last year, we connected with Brea PD, and they sent an officer to the class to really show the real-life application of forensics. So, Sherry, we might have to do that again. I'm happy to connect. She came already. Oh, that's fantastic. Good. Starting a trend. And then also at the junior high, and huge accolades to Glenda as our music teacher, but our 8th grade student and trumpet player, Caitlin Chung, has been selected for 2 very selective music honor groups. She was accepted to both the Southern California School Band and Orchestra Association and the All Southern Full Orchestra and the California All-State Symphonic Band. And her placement in the Southern California School Band and Orchestra Association group was as a result of her ranking in the top 5 trumpet players in the state of California. Yeah, so super. Yeah, so thank you, Glenda. That's it's a testament. No, everyone has a great teacher behind them, so thank you. And then also our Brea Olinda High School, congratulations to them, but Ken McCall was also named the 2022 North Orange County ROP Teacher of the Year. And we all just adore Ken. He's an award-winning teacher and has done so much for Brea and our students and our staff, right? A few years ago, just so instrumental there with our staff member. But he provides hands-on experience, and it's clear that students are learning valuable skills for the sports medicine industry. In addition to instructing the patient care pathway, Ken also leads the athletic trainer. He's the athletic trainer at BOHS, and he allows students from his patient care pathway to get field experience, and that's so huge. It can be tough to find those opportunities, and Ken, just opens himself up and the kids for those opportunities. As Audrey mentioned earlier, we are very excited to have our sister city students here from Ansong, Korea, and they visited Brea Junior High and the high school over the last 2 weeks as part of the exchange program. And they're participating in different events at the high school, and it was great. Sherry shared with us that the students were so impressed with our classrooms, and they're so inviting. In the classrooms in Ansong, Korea are a little bit blank, right? They're so just appreciate Pam Valenti and her efforts, and Terry Syke at the junior high for really coordinating those events and welcoming our students. We shared coffee with the superintendent and cabinet on the 17th, and we had a nice turnout there to share some just information about the district. And parent education night from Phil and our 3 elementary counselors was a success on January 17th. And I think that was recorded, right? If families want to listen, so they can find that on our website. And then the informational meeting January 18th was at Olinda, like I mentioned. And then student enrollment begins on Monday. Is it the 23rd? The 23rd, so that's Monday. And second coffee with the superintendent, last one of the year, it will be April 18th. So we encourage everyone to come and just sit down and have like a little fireside chat with cabinet. So board, you're welcome to pop in too if you'd like, but it's a nice event. So thank you. It's the end of my report tonight.
All right, thank you so much. And we'll continue with recognitions. That's you too.
Shulin, can I have you come up? Thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. It's so good to see you. Shulin wasn't able to be with us when we recognized Audrey and Shulin, but the reason why Audrey is here and that we have a student board member is because of Shulin and his efforts in really recognizing that the student body voice needed to be heard. And through his efforts at the high school, preparing a petition, and then us going through the process, we have a student board member. And that advocacy and that vision was, really just a demonstration of the change maker that you are, and just your interest in civic government. So we applaud you. And it was several hundred signatures that we verified every single one. So this wasn't just, hey, district, I'd like to have a student board member. But it was a lot of work on his part. And you definitely have left your mark on the district. And not only did he do that, but we can brag about Shulin too, because this is another impressive BOHS student. He is president of both the BOHS UNICEF Club and TEDx BOHS, co-founder and president of the Brea Philosophical Society, and is serving as a board member for the BOHS Red Cross Club and BOHS Model UN. Not only has he done all of this, but is it 3 AAs that you have right now? Yes, 3. Would you like to tell them what they're in? Will you please?
Okay. Philosophy, liberal studies, and business administration. So
yeah, that Sheelan is such an impressive young man, and we're going to wish you all the best and miss you after graduation. But we do have some certificates for you from our Assemblyman Philip Chen, an Exemplary Leadership and Service Certificate of Recognition. This is for you. And then we have from Doug Chafee's office a certificate of recognition. He is our supervisor in the 4th District. And then also from Josh Newman, he is our senator in the 29th District, and he's also the chair of the Education Committee in the state of California. So we just applaud your efforts. We're so proud to have you as a student in Brea, and thank you for just contributing to our civic government and the student voice in Brea. We really appreciate it. So thank you. Did you want to say anything?
Brenda, can we get a picture with the
Yes.
board with him?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Did you want to say something or no?
Putting me on the spot, but I can say something. I would just say thank you to the board for being so receptive to our petition. Like that wasn't like they didn't have to do that. And thank you for Audrey for being such a good voice for our student body. That's the end of the speech.
Thank you. One, two, three. Perfect. Thank you.
Brenda, did you
Okay.
want to continue?
I will continue. We have the Great Kindness Challenge Week that is January 23rd through the 27th, and the district office has signed up, and we've encouraged our other schools to sign up. So we have a lot of fun events. But the Great Kindness Challenge is a proactive and positive SEL-focused bullying prevention program that improves school climate and increases student engagement. The Great Kindness Challenge School Edition runs the week of January 23rd and is devoted to performing as many acts of kindness as possible on campuses. And our school and district office will use the Great Kindness Challenge checklist that includes kindness lessons for our students and staff to create a culture of kindness while strengthening their social and emotional well-being. And if you know the district office, we love games and competition. So we have a few fun things planned that Julie's been working on with our 2 student interns. So that's great. Look forward to that. Can I just continue? Okay, thank you. The next recognition that we have for the month of February, because our first board meeting in February is the 9th, so we like to prepare these in advance, is our National African American History Month. We are proud to bring forward a resolution to recognize February as National African American History Month, which is an annual celebration of achievements by African Americans and a time for recognizing their central role and importance in U.S. history. Through a variety of activities, our educators will take time to help our students learn about contributions to our society made by African Americans, in addition to understanding their struggle and perseverance. The next recognition for the month of February is our CTE month. As we know, under Phil's direction, we just received a Golden Bell for our K-12 CTE efforts, but we're happy and proud to celebrate our robust program throughout the district. We do have our elementary schools who participate in CTE activities, and that includes Laurel Elementary with their career exploration, Falcon Academy, the opportunity to learn computer coding. So that's a great program, as well as at Mariposa, they're using the engineering design process to develop and build competition robots robots. And as you've heard tonight, we are expanding that at all of our elementary schools to have a robotics program. Brea Junior High also has one of the most robust career exploration programs in Orange County. Brea Junior High students have the opportunity to expand career awareness within their core courses using Zello career exploration software with their teachers and school counselors and through a thoughtfully curated selection of elective courses. Students can explore and refine their emerging interests and begin career pathways such as broadcasting, computer science, construction technology, digital media, engineering, forensics, industrial arts, med careers, and robotics. I know they did not offer all of those courses when I was in school, maybe one elective, right, if you were lucky. So appreciate the hard work of our teaching staff to bring those forward as well. We continue our CTE pathways at the high school and at Brea Canyon. At Brea Olinda High School, the CTE courses give our students the opportunity to apply learning from their core academic areas and other areas that they're passionate about. And we do have hands-on and project-based courses for our students. And then, of course, at Canyon, we do offer the Spider Lab, which is just a phenomenal program for our students to really gain additional work skills. So we're proud of our CTE programs here in Brea. I'll continue on with our National School Counselor Week, as we've heard a lot about the impact our school counselors make on every student in our district. We're really proud that we were able to add elementary counselors to the SEL support that we offer. But School Counseling Week is February 6th through 10th, and that week is used to focus on public attention on the unique contribution of school counselors, while also highlighting the immense impact school counselors have in helping students achieve academic success. So we do appreciate all of their work, and as you heard, just pushing into the classroom. And those minute meetings, that also occur at Olinda Elementary are so informative and helpful for the counselors to know exactly what supports to provide each class and each student. And then last but not least is our California Distinguished Schools recognition for Brea Online Academy, Country Hills, and Olinda. So it was a really welcome email from the state of California right before we returned from winter break. And we just congratulate the staff, students, and the community of Brea, because it takes a village to educate our students. It takes a village to realize student success. And that includes our school site personnel, our Board of Education, and our community and our families. And we received that recognition because the state had certain criteria and metrics. We did not have to apply for the recognition this year, but they did look at the metrics that are submitted, and it was due to closing the achievement gap and achieving exceptional student performance. So we're really proud of our schools. We look forward to attending the recognition ceremony on February 16th. And then I've already started bugging Rick to get us banners, and Julie's working on that. So Kristen, be prepared for some more orders. The Spider Lab. So it's just, COVID was tough. And as we see, and Phil will have a presentation here in a minute to show the impact. So we're really proud in Orange County for a small district to have 3 of our 6 elementary schools recognized, or 7 of our elementary schools recognized. That's a huge accomplishment. If you look on the CDE website and go district by district, the percentage of schools that we have recognized is really outstanding. So congratulations, everyone.
Yes.
It's great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, round of applause. All right, moving on to presentations. We'll go ahead and start with Dr. D'Agostino with academic achievement and support.
Thank you, President Miller, Vice President Rees, members of the board, and guests. Thank you for giving the Ed Division the opportunity to share with you a snapshot of academic achievement and support that's going on as seen through the California dashboard. As you know, Principal Lopez came up and used dashboard data tonight, so I'm here to talk with you about that. The dashboard recently was revitalized in late December and is now public, and so as a duty and a responsibility that we have to our constituents, I'm here tonight to share with you where we are and where we are going. Just a quick overview, the dashboard is a part of the overall California Accountability System for schools and districts. The dashboard was last produced in 2019, and this year it's a restart. We are restarting the dashboard, but in a little different way than it was before the pandemic. We're only using current year performance reported on the 22 dashboard, and instead of performance colors, as Principal Lopez said, there are cell phone bar graphics that represent the 5 status levels in 2022 from very low to very high. For all the state indicators, These bars indicate stronger performance when there are more bars, and fewer bars indicate that attention is needed, except for chronic absenteeism, which is reversed. So as you can see here, these are the cell phone bar representations. There are 11 state measures that I'll be briefly touching upon. I just want to reiterate to you that the data that I'm giving you tonight is only part of the overall dashboard. If you go onto the California dashboard, you can drill down quite deep into various schools on a lot of different levels. So I'm giving you tonight a 30,000-foot level of viewing the dashboard and where we are. It's powerful data. I think it tells a story. In fact, when I shared this with Brenda earlier this week, she said this tells a powerful story, and we need to capitalize on that, and we definitely will do that. So here are the 11 state measures and local indicators. And how is that populated? Well, one of the things that's really important is that we need to have good data in ARIES. So ARIES data is used to inform CalPADS. CalPADS and ARIES data makes up our district data, and that district data that's reported to the state then is used to analyze where we are in terms of our relative performance as a district and for our schools as well. There are 3 dashboard domains that I will talk about tonight. The first is academic performance, which is largely based on English language arts and mathematics performance. Academic engagement, second domain, which focuses on chronic absenteeism and graduation rate. And then conditions for learning, which is measured through suspension rates. So let's get into our data. Now you will see thematically a strong similarity between the story that I told you about the CASP data that came out before the winter recess and our dashboard data. If you look overall at the district's performance, it's pretty good. We score high in English language arts, mathematics, English learner progress. Our suspension rate is low. Our graduation rate is high. And the college and career readiness data was not collected this year, so there's no information on that. So right there, wow, that's really good. We're doing pretty good. When we look at overall performance for our local indicators, we have met all of the standards. That's the highest level of performance that you can achieve. So meeting those standards based on local indicators. But now when we drill down a little bit and we go into the academic performance domain, we're going to look at English language arts, mathematics, and related data. As you can see, as I said, we are high, 30.2 points above the standard. So you might be asking, well, what does that mean exactly? What is the standard? So the standard is level 3, which is student meets the standard. So our average performance above level 3 is 30.2 points. Whereas compared to the state overall performance is 12.2 below the standard. When we break it down, however, and we look at our subgroups, we see that our African-American students, English learners, Hispanic students, socioeconomically disadvantaged students, and students with disabilities are performing at lower levels. Our white students perform at a high level, and our Asian, Filipino, and students with 2 or more races perform at the highest level. So when we peel back the onion a little bit, we're able to look at where we need to consider placing our resources, interventions, and supports, having critical conversations about what continuous improvement looks like. And so here, if we drill down a little bit more, looking at the student performance versus the state performance by subgroup. Once again, we're above, if you look at all of these trends, we are above the state performance bars, okay? But when you look at all of those groups are below level 3, or they're below the standard. And so that's an area of concern that we are going to take very seriously and look at. If we look at mathematics, again, similarly, we perform well overall, 11.4 points above the standard, or level 3 standard met. At the state level, that's low. Significant challenges teaching mathematics up and down the state, and significant challenges teaching in our district as well. But again, overall performance is considered high. But let's peel back that onion a little bit. We have low performance bands coming out of student subgroups, as you can see there. And then similar performance by our white, Asian, Filipino, and 2 or more races. Similarly, when we break down the subgroups, these subgroups aren't doing as bad as statewide indicators, as you can see here. We outperform the state in terms of our performance. 63 points below the standard for African American students, 106 points, that subgroup across the state. Hispanic students in the district, 37.1 points below the standard, but 83 points by the state level. So again, we're doing better than state data. And I could have also, I didn't do this tonight for you, and if you'd like me to send you data as well, we could look at county data. We could compare to similar districts. I could deconstruct that data as well. But I know that we probably want to get out of here before I need a haircut. So we're not going to stay too long. Okay. Would you? Thanks. English learner progress is also an indicator. As you can see here, over half of our English learners are making progress towards English language proficiency, and I'll talk about that statistic in just a little bit. However, this is the closest gap between us and the state in all of the indicators. We're only 6.4% higher than the English learners making progress in English learner proficiency. I'm just going to take a moment and tell you how that's calculated. As you can see here in these 2 graphics, the first one at the top are LPAC levels, okay, the English Learner Proficiency Assessment for California. Level 1 is minimally developed in English learner progress. Level 2, somewhat developed. Level 3, moderately developed. And level 4, well developed. If you take the number of students who advanced at least one English learner proficiency level, and that's below the bar there. So 1, 2L, 2H, 3L, 3H, and 4. Any student who progressed from 1 to 2, 2 to 2H, 3L to 3H, or 3H to 4, plus the number of students that were stayed at a 4, and divide that by the total number of students that are ELs, designated ELs, you get that percentage. So the 56.4% that you saw in the previous slide, we have 415 students who are designated in ELs that were counted in this assessment. That means that 234 students, just a little over half, either grew one level or maintained their level 4 status. I just want a shout out to Shelly Lopez in Country Hills, 70.2% EL progress. That is of her 57 students that were counted in that. That means 40 of them I did some quick math, 40 of them advanced at least one level. So would love to have a conversation with you, take you out for a coffee and talk a little bit about that, Shelly, if you don't mind. We'd love to know what you're doing there. So, and that's the kind of collegiality, that is the kind of embracing of data that all of our principals believe in. So it's very, very proud to work in a district where we don't shy away from the data and we're constantly looking to improve. Overall, you can see here how that breaks down. The 56 is in the purple bar and the blue bar. So the ELs who made progress on at least one ELPI level and the ones who maintained a standard 4, that's the data that gets us to 56.4. So where we want to do some work, obviously, is look at why students only maintained their levels below level 4 and why there was a decrease. We've already been talking about this. I've been talking with Dr. Araceli Campos, who is our EL instructional coach. There are lots of things that we can do to improve. And so we're going to be probably bringing you back recommendations, as you'll see in one of my last slides, as far as next steps are concerned, as to how we can address that. Because it is, as Brenda said, it's an equity issue too. And that's something that we're deeply committed to. The next domain is academic engagement. This is the second of 3 domains, as I said at the start of my presentation. So chronic absenteeism, graduation rates, and related data. Overall, chronic absenteeism is high in this district. 13% of our students are chronically absent by this data analysis. Now, again, that's less than half of where the state is at. But if kids aren't coming to school, they're not learning. That's really what it boils down to. And it's not hard to graduate. And if you can come to school and you can do your homework, you probably will mostly pass your classes and graduate. So this is an area, I know this is an area of focus for us as a district. When we look at by subgroup, so this is kind of interesting in that the 2 or more races subgroup and white subgroups of students, those were very high in both mathematics and ELA performance, but it's also high in chronic absenteeism. So I think one of the things we can draw from this data here is chronic absenteeism crosses the span of students and student groups in our district. Once again, I used the same structure here to point out that we are performing ahead of the state in various chronic absenteeism data when it comes to subgroups, but we're still in the double digits, and in some cases we're in the 20% and higher among our Hispanics, our homeless, and our socioeconomically disadvantaged students, and those are areas that we really need to look at. Our overall performance and graduation rate is high. Once again, great job. I think we are doing good work. There's always, though, there's always a focus on wanting to do better. If you ask Dr. Porter about this, he would say, no, I'm not happy with this. He's told me that a couple of times. And so, and there is that commitment to continuous improvement. But 92.3% by this analysis is higher than where we are at the state. Again, though, once we break it down, as you can see here, graduation rates are in the 80% for certain significant subgroups. Compared to the state, we're significantly higher. But once again, that's where we break down the data and see that trend. If we deconstruct our suspension rate further, students with disabilities and socioeconomically disadvantaged students were suspended at rates lower than the state. But those suspension rates, I think, are still not where we want to be. So looking at the third domain, which is, well, I just already started suspensions. So let me go back to that. All students in the district, 1.7% of students were suspended at least one day, nearly double across the state. So once again, our suspension overall data is fairly low, K through 12. But if we look at suspension subgroup data, our foster youth suspension rates are higher. And I think the pandemic exacerbated this a little bit in terms of families that struggled, students that struggled. If we've said this, you cannot bloom until you first Maslow, right? You cannot learn and you cannot be secure if basic needs aren't met. And public education has become more centrally focused on ensuring the holistic development of every student beyond just their academic performance, social, emotionally, behaviorally. And I'm proud of the fact that we're in a district where we're looking at the whole child and we are providing wraparound supports and looking at how we can increase that through resources and personnel and the monies that we get into the district for those kinds of expenditures. Once again, I'm just going to move through this. As you can see, the story is the same. The story is the same across all of the major indicators for the California dashboard, that while we perform well overall, when we peel back that onion, suspension rates, for example, for foster youth are at 6%. And that's 31 kids. So 31, 6%, what, 18? 18 students, 18 of our, no, that's not, that's, it's 6%, 3, so I taught social studies, and does anyone have a calculator? Does anyone have a calculator handy? Yeah, Audrey, you're probably taking advanced trigonometry and what 6.1% of 31 is, yeah, 0.061 times 31, yeah. 2 kids, yeah, nearly 2 kids. Okay, got it. Yeah, me too. Yeah. So I'll move on now. But again, the point is overall performance in our district is 1.7% of our students, but over 6% of our foster youth were suspended. So, it's something that we need to look at and focus on. So conclusions. I gave this presentation. Not only did I share it with Brenda, but I also shared it with the principals last Tuesday, and I asked them to give me some insight as to what they saw from this. It was a very collaborative and collegial conversation. I think some of the things that we can draw from this is that the dashboard reflects data during a school year when we were resetting and we were restarting. And the pandemic was in the rearview mirror, but its effects were still being felt. It highlights there is no greater a time that public education is facing challenges to advance student achievement and the holistic well-being of students in my entire career. I suspect there probably hasn't been a time like this before in public education, maybe in the 1920s. In the post-pandemic years of the 1920s, maybe in the 1960s, given the social, political, and cultural upheaval at that time, and the conversations about race and identity and inner city versus suburbs. This is one of those big moments in history, one of those big moments in public education. So it's a challenge. So I think we have to take solace in the fact that the work that we are doing is challenging, it is heroic, but it's ongoing and it's not something we're going to shirk from. I think our teachers and staff and administrators have worked hard. We have to do work that equitably supports the success of all students. So you've heard the word equity a lot tonight. You'll keep hearing it from staff and from cabinet. And there is more to this story. Deconstructing the data at the site level and looking at nuances and context to understand the data is a critical part of the continuous improvement process. And so as we drill down, we'll continue to learn and grow. So what are some of the next steps? As Shelley came here and she shared with you dashboard data, you'll see other principals share dashboard data as a part of their showcases. Making the data and related conversations central to our work is really important. Addressing the needs of our at-promise students and support academic outcomes and conditions for learning is going to be a high priority for us. Evaluating our programmatic needs equitably and identifying resources and personnel allocation and support is going to be something we're doing. Developing action plans that come from our LCAP, our school single plans for student achievement, and our funding priorities for 23-24 is something you will see us focusing on, and all of that coming to you through reports, presentations, and requests for funding, utilizing categorical, restricted, and unrestricted resources. So with that, thank you very much for your time. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them.
Any questions, comments? Yeah, go. Sure.
Sure thing. So with student achievement, student well-being, and safety being our focus, right?
Yes.
I feel like every time a principal or all of you cabinet come up to speak, that there's like a consistent theme I'm starting to catch on, that we're not doing enough, right? We're not doing enough. Like what can we, well, hold on, let me put it better. It's a good thing. No, I'm saying this in a good way. Everyone, in other words, I kind of wrote this down. I feel like everyone's like embraces the data, celebrates the successes, and then moves right into the areas that are unacceptable at BOUSD. That's what I mean. Everybody has a consistent theme with, like Shelley's not afraid. I know Josh did that recently too. Like wasn't afraid. None of the principals have been afraid to stand here and say, we're awesome. Look how awesome. But I just really appreciate
It's not enough.
that. It's not
We're
enough.
not satisfied.
That's what I mean. I wrote down consistent theme, not enough. And I just appreciate that because I don't know, everybody knows why. I mean, I just appreciate that because that's how we get better. We do better for our kids. So I just want to thank you for that and for all of you for doing that because that has been like this whole year. But I continue to hear the same thing. So I appreciate it. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Okay, all right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, board.
All right. Oh, wow, we're clapping for everybody tonight. All right, next up, Rick Champion with his 5 slides.
Got 5 slides. I felt like I should have went first, Phil, because this is the funding presentation, right? It's the budget. So thank you, board, for allowing me to last minute fill on the presentation slot. And the governor last week presented his initial budget plan for the 23-24 year. And really just hot off the press, right? There's still a lot of, these are really the format and some of his proposals. A lot of it is, has to be settled up in trailer bills and what's the intent and such. And our director of fiscal, Donna, and I literally just got back from Long Beach today at the school services. So we quickly wrote down and utilized California School Boards Association's slide deck is what we had here today. So some of these are really handwritten notes as we went through. So, and really, like I said, this is the starting point of the 23-24 budget in the out years. And in about 4 months from now, they'll recap this, what they call the May revise. So there's still 4 months of data that's coming in. And they'll be watching the revenue very, very closely because the revenue is not coming in this fiscal year and projected not to come in the following fiscal year as they projected. Before I get into the good news is, Dr. D'Agostino, there is no new categorical programs in this year's budget, okay? Which is good, right? The bad news, fiscal side, there's a lot more audits and reporting in this budget. Right? But the theme of it was, and I wrote these down, that even though in the face of a projected mild recession, which hopefully is short-lived, the governor is committed to funding the COLA. His COLA is a little less than what the Legislative Analyst's Office has, but his COLA projection, the Department of Finance, is 8.13%. He's committed to funding that. Okay, but also too, to pay for that, as you know, it's got to come from another side of the budget, right? So you'll hear fund delays and fund triggers coming up. You'll hear that he's committed to not dipping into the reserves. Okay? This is almost like the chicken soup thing that you had, Dr. Principal Lopez earlier, right? There's a surprise in this year's budget for sweeping some funds out of this year to pay for next year. Right? And we might have to tape down D'Agostino to a seat, but there's a LCAP surprise. We laughed about this today. It was, kind of a thing. So overall, Proposition 98, basically, as the state's general fund goes, so goes education funding. That's just how it is in California. We're really the only state that has a progressive tax system that pays for fixed costs. Right? So usually when you hear budget issues, it's really not so much an expenditure problem. It really is a funding problem, right? And the revenues just aren't materializing from really the biggest side of the general fund, which is personal income tax. To complicate that for this year, going into next year, because of what's happening in California with economic disasters and floods and rains and earthquakes up in Northern California, they have delayed the filing of this year's or last year's income tax return from April 15th to May 15th. It kind of sounds like a COVID repeat again, right? So not only delay the filing, but you don't have to pay your estimate taxes, and you don't really have to pay your taxes until then. So it's going to be really hard to see where the May revise comes in. So hold on to your bootstraps. Yes, I see your chuckle there. To May and June, and probably up and through August again as we tiptoe through and see where we land. But overall, our funding for Prop 98 is going to be down. It is projected to be down in the governor's projection, which is a little bit more rosier than what the LAO says. And also that affects the share of it and moving forward. And also, when they project the budget for this year coming up, the new year, they also look at this year, they true up. So there's some adjustments in the budget as we go forward, but overall, that's the expectation. Again, like I said, the cost of living, 813, he's committed to it. LAO was 60 basis points higher, 873. But we will see as we get close to May where that number lands on, because there's 8 data points that make up the COLA, basically the cost of goods and services. And right now, 6 of them are in. So 2 data points are still out there. And that's what the next couple of months are going to say. So if actually the statutory goes up, and we hear 873 or 89 or 9, whatever that number is, I don't think that they'll be able to fund the full statutory. They might have to defer it, which is usually the bad word in public education, right, for ours. But they're committed to funding 813. But if they do fund it, if the legislature says, you know what, Governor, we're going to fund it, we're going to have to find the money from somewhere else, that might mean some adjustments to other funds. So there's this tug of war that's going to come up that's going through. But they also commit to funding the COLA, which is great, to all the other categorical funds. It's usually just the LCFF, and then they have a different, smaller COLA for special ed, for example, and other things. But they're committed to go across. Funding most of the dollars in this budget is going to fund the COLA. Okay. Problem is, they're going to fund it with one-time dollars. I know you're probably saying, Rick, you never fund ongoing costs with one-time dollars, but the state is going to do that. Okay, that's their projection. This is new, never happened before over the years. So there's a rainy day fund in the Prop 98 side. Also, there's a rainy day fund in the general fund side. So just to show you that is the $8.1 billion. Again, the plan is to not tap into those dollars, but to use them in case the recession continues. Or the legislature could say, I want to fund the more COLA, we might tap into these dollars. But the governor is protecting these reserves. That's his proposal. Again, that is the rainy day fund, right? So a couple of his proposals. This is new. It's called the LCF Equity Multiplier, okay? It's basically allocated of additional funds to those districts and those schools within those districts that have higher needs, right? Usually, like in our calculation for supplemental funding, we don't get concentration funding. It's a district. What's the district have? But some districts have schools that have higher needs with their own district. But because of the overall calculation, they don't get dollars. This is what this is attempting to solve, okay? Brea is not going to qualify for this. I know. Just, right, Donna, right? Just to give you an example, of the 1,100 districts in California, there's probably only about 600 districts that are going to get this, and there's 452 elementary districts and 195 high school districts. Brea will not be one of those. So we'll just keep on going. Transitional kindergarten, still committed to funding it, right? This year, 22-23, you have that birthday up till February 2nd, welcome aboard. Next year, April 2nd. So we'll see recapture, we'll expand that. Still committed to funding, still committed to do the add-on to keep that ratio at 12-1. I'm looking at you, okay? The plan was obviously to have lower student ratio. I don't know where we're going to put them, but they're still committed to that. Problem with this year's budget, the next year's proposal, they have now swept and tabled all facility dollars till the following year, the out years, because there's no dollars, right? They're committed to it. So that's the proposal. But the TK program is still moving forward, right? Special ed, we talked about this too. They're still committed to funding the 813. Not a lot of other programs or dollars submitted to special ed funding, except just more SELPA reporting and transparency, which will increase fiscal transparency. So again, Donna, more reporting. This is why I said she didn't really like this budget at all, because of the new increased reporting. Art, music, and instructional materials discretionary block grant. So this was one of the 2 block grants that we have in this year. Remember? This is probably the only block grant that has a title that has nothing to do with the funding requirements for the title, because this is the most non-discretionary, but this is a restricted source, okay? This is the sweep money. This is how they're going to pay for next year's dollars. The proposal, they gave $3.5 billion to school districts. We've already received 50% of it, right? The rest of the 50% was projected to come into March and around March or April. We'll be presenting this, Dr. D'Agostino and I, at our second interim in March, as required, on our full allocation, which is $3.7 million for Brea. But we're like in, if you're a Sammy Sosa fan, I apologize, but in his home run, we're going to have a little asterisk by it because we're going to have to show a third of that as though we're not going to get it. That's the sweep to pay for the COLA, which if you really think of it philosophically, it's taking away one-time dollars for ongoing in the COLA. So, but as you know, we were going to use some of those dollars to continue some of the great programs. So we're going to have to make some decisions as we go in the out years. But this is just a proposal. It could change. But we have to make sure this is a reality.
I'm going to comment on that really quick because during a meeting with superintendents across the state with AXA, we specifically spoke about the governor sweeping away some of this funding, and some districts who have already spent their entire allocation, they're in trouble. So fortunately, we didn't, but I did provide feedback. They wanted a survey from us because, like Rick said, this will cause us to make other decisions because the governor said, "Here you go, here's money for for this one-time funds." Oh, just kidding, right? So our planning has to be shifted and redirected. So I just want you to know superintendents are taking this very seriously, sharing the information with AXA, and then again, AXA is advocating on our behalf regarding this matter.
Yeah. And like I said, we got half the money already. We're expected the other half. I'm not sure if that means they're going to fund it and we have to set it aside and they're going to claw it back later, or we're just not going to get it, but we have to report that we got it. It's a mess, right? But that's coming down. Okay. Cybersecurity, LASD, got this through. As we saw in December at the CSBA show, Trustee Lyons and Trustee Reeves, we went to one of these breakout sessions, cybersecurity, right? There's implementation to bring in some dollars into the budget to combat cybersecurity. As we know, they're attacking school districts. Josh is very happy about this. Except he doesn't like this last bullet. However, this funding is not specific to schools. So I really don't know what that means in the budget, but it's in the education side. They talked about it, but there's dollars that they're talking about. So a little bit of excitement there. Other proposals, as we heard earlier, Prop 28 passed in November. That is in the budget. It is preparing to be bench marked in the Prop 98 funding. Of course, it comes with annual certification. Of course, it comes with increased audits. But it's a good thing. It's ongoing. It is ongoing money. It's law, right? So it has to be funded. It has to be funded from somewhere, but it has to be funded, right? But it's going through. This is money comes to the district, but it's allocated based upon to the sites. So we will be presenting yearly the allocation, and then we have to certify it as a board. We have to publish it on our website and disclose it, and it goes up to the state, and move forward. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing. And then, of course, another literacy one-time dollars again. We can skip that second bullet because that doesn't apply to Brea because we don't qualify as a high poverty needs district. And then this one's the sad one, $3.5 million ongoing money. At least it's a mandate, but at least there's money now behind this mandate to fund 2 doses of Narcan to be used at, not to be used, hopefully never to be used, but to be available at all middle and high schools throughout the state. So, still in the budget, thank you, home to school transportation, the 60% reimbursement. This was a shout out to CSBA. This was one of their advocacy things. This is a major win to keep it in it, and it includes the COLA, right? Remember, transportation was flat funded since the LCFF formation. That is still in this budget as an ongoing program. As an add-on. No other changes to some of the other new programs that started over the last years. The second, that being the ELOP, the Extended Learning Program, fully funded. Still plan to move forward, still funded, right? We were a little worried about that because the LAO said, maybe that's one of the programs they should, reduce. The challenge, though, next year, Dr. Diego Cino, is that all kids, TK, are now eligible and must be offered versus, our unduplicated kiddos. So we'll see how the program goes through this process. As we said earlier in a meeting, as we fly this airplane, we'll be building it and how to put this program together. Yes, Fiscal House, we'll be auditing this next year. And universal meals still continue, still gets the COLA 813, still moving forward on that. And this is where we're going to duct tape Bill to his chair so he doesn't leave our district. But I just wanted to tell him that the LCAP has changes in next year. Okay? Increased goal actions and funding to address student levels was not only to say what we're going to do, but come back and evaluate and look at the matrix of how we did it. And then more community interaction, and another one, create an equity lead group addressing disparities in outcomes. So more reporting, no money for it, but more reporting from the EdSite services. So if he's still here tomorrow, it will be a major win for us. Pardon? Okay, so some remaining issues real quick. The PERS, CalPERS and CalSTRS pension. Good news, because CalSTRS is under statutory law, it's going to remain the same. CalPERS is projected to go up. As you know, as 70% of the income within these funds are stock market driven, and it hasn't had a great year, and so we're going to see some increases on the CalPERS side versus what we thought in the out years was flat. So there's to be adjustments there. We'll recap that at the second interim. Staffing shortages still become an issue. Nothing addressed in the budget to address that. Enrollment ADA decreases still in the budget because it's law. Until the law gets changed, you either get funded on your current year enrollment or ADA, average daily attendance, or your last year, or you take a 3-year average. That's still in law. We're still taking advantage of that. Nothing in the law to address our unduplicated, what we call our free and lunch program percentages, which drives our supplemental. TK facilities, like I said, look like they're out the window until tabling that into future years. And of course, minimum wage increase is still unresolved. So, So really the last one, really the real question is, will the governor and lawmakers need to dip into the rainy day funds? And they were pushing not to dip into those because if the recession, which is planned, which most economists think it will happen. The governor is really the only one that kind of doesn't really think it's going to happen, but everyone else believes that. Well, we need those funds in case we continue into the multi-years, right? So next steps, and this is the last slide. Okay, you should get I knew that was coming. I know. Wait, Audrey, you'll see this. It's all the love all year. In May, we'll hear back from the governor and the state where they're at, right? It's called the May revision. It becomes the basis of our budget, even though it could change in June and often does now again. Continually, they're going to be watching the general fund revenues. As I told you, the challenge there about the delay of the state and federal PIN, personal income taxes. Again, we'll always be focusing on enrollment, and which drives our staffing and our services, and of course, our revenue. And I just talked about the impact on our grant fund programs and our one-time monies that are in the next year's proposals to be swept, some of it. And then we'll also be presenting on March 9th. March 9th will be a big presentation night. Just wanted to warn you. Second interim will also be presented that night too. So that's it so far in the budget. Again, there's lots of trailer bills. There's still lots of back and forth between the legislature as we move forward. So that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, thank you so much. We're such a mistake tonight. Are there any public comments? Annette, no? Okay, so we are moving past public comments unless anybody here. All right, approval of the minutes. May I get a motion?
So moved.
Paul, a second?
Second.
Chris? Any questions? All right, preferred vote?
Aye.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Nay? Okay, motion passes. All right, consent calendar. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Carrie Flanders, next.
Second.
Paul Ruiz. All right, any questions, comments, concerns, anything? See none? Okay.
Do you want to read donations?
Oh, yeah. Do you want me to read donations now or after I pass? After it passes? During? Okay, during. Okay. All right, so our donations are James and Donna Konoski, $310 for Laurel Magnet School for the library. Don and Lynn Dosher, $500 for the school district. And Leonard and Helen McCain Unitrust, $8,313.49 to the district. So thank you to all of our donors. So, all right, so no other questions? All right. Audrey?
Aye.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Moving down. Okay, so there are no public hearings, correct? All right, public hearing. Information, discussion, and direction. Phil, is there anything with the second quarter Williams uniform complaints?
No complaints were lodged.
All right, perfect. Moving on to action items, Superintendent's Department, Board Policy and AR. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Chris, Sarah?
Second.
All right, Carrie Flanders. Any questions?
I have a recommendation or a
Yeah.
question. Well, first of all, so this is a board policy. Let me read it. For best practices, supporting effective governance. And I appreciate you bringing it back. I know looks like you brought it back for the name change from board member to trustees, now that we're all trustee districts or areas, and any other like typos. I know that it was fun to read through them. It's reminders. I know like the, little things like just for the public who didn't pull this up to read it, there's just little things on there about how our best practices as board members and, just no surprise rules. And by the way, I practiced the no surprises by bringing my questions to Brenda ahead of time. So I already passed. There's like one in here, no cell phone use unless there's an emergency. I actually never do, except I really do have 2 major emergencies right now. And so that's so weird that this was on here, but I'm just saying that. Just different things for our board to like remember. It's good if we could like go over this at some point. But the one thing I wanted to bring up, under the very last page at the end under special note, where it talks about, well, should I read it? I'll just read the little paragraph. Should a board trustee not adhere to the protocols established by the Board of Education, the board president, along with the superintendent, shall meet with the board trustee to address the issue. Should the board president not adhere to the protocols established by the Board of Education, the superintendent, along with the vice president or clerk of the board, shall address the issue. But my question, I guess I brought when I did my homework this week was, what does that mean to address the issue? And I know that I've had discussions with other boards at CSBA and what they do. And I know that this policy it's uncomfortable. Like, what does that mean? So let's pretend I was breaking cell phone rules. I was just sitting here, texting Jeff or whatever. But then, the president can pull me aside and tell me, stop that. But what if I do something big or, like confidentiality from closed session or just something that's a big deal? There isn't any accountability component on here. So I just was curious if other districts had something a little bit more, if anyone's interested in knowing that. I didn't research it, obviously, but how do you feel about that? I guess as a board, I don't know.
You're saying there's no punishment schedule?
And I don't even know how to say punishment because
Well,
our punishment, right? More just it's very uncomfortable. If there was an issue with Chris, I'm just going to use you, okay? And then Dina has to sit down with Chris, and I don't know what that means. This is what you did. And if it's a big one of these, what does that mean after that? That's very uncomfortable. This is not something, this has come up recently. So I just, So I guess that should be in here. Right. So I know we know that, but it's not in here. So I just wonder if we can make amendments to this policy with that.
This is a first reading, so I'm happy at the board's direction to revise or add, change anything to this policy and then bring it back for second reading. Upon board direction, I can do that.
Okay, so I guess I'm asking if anyone else is interested in some more clarity on that paragraph.
For accountability.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. You got some, there you go.
Okay, I will do some homework and bring that back under special note for the board's review and consideration. And Gail, Carrie, I wrote down your note. What does this mean for accountability? What do other districts do for accountability in this policy? And Gail, I wrote down your comment, a reflection of censure. So I will look at both of these items. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay, Audrey?
Aye.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Moving to Human Resources, BOTA tentative agreement. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Paul Ruiz, second?
Second.
Chris Becerra. Okay, any questions, any comments? Do you want to address it at all, or you okay? No, you don't have to.
Just really excited that we've reached an agreement that everyone is happy with.
Yes, perfect, thank you. Any other questions, comments? No? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay? Okay, motion passes 5-0. Did I ask you? I didn't.
No, but aye.
But HR, you're not supposed to, right? I'm on the fence with this. I've heard mixed. So anything with HR, Audrey does not vote on. Is that correct?
It's a preferential vote, so she's not voting on any confidential matters.
Okay.
That was the direction I have from council, but I'm happy to take it back. This isn't a confidential issue. It's just a matter related to collective bargaining and open session, but I'll make a note to get clarification
Just for
from our
under
council.
HR, if you could ask that.
I
just
will.
So okay. So
Yes.
I'm going to leave you off on this one. I don't want to get in trouble, okay? All right. Thank you. Okay, moving to educational services. Purchase of culinary arts, CTE instructional materials. Do I have a motion? Gail Lyons, second?
Second.
Chris Becerra. Any questions, comments? Anybody want to say anything? No. Preferential, Audrey?
Aye.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next, the purchase of Chromebooks and carts for Brea Linda High School. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Carrie Flanders, Gail Lyons, perfect. Any questions or comments? You want to say anything? Okay. All right. Preferential treatment, sorry. Darn, I practiced this so many times. Audrey, I'm just going to say your name moving forward. Aye. All right. All those in favor? Aye. All right. All opposed? Okay. Motion passes 5-0. All right. Business services, architectural services, site fencing, and other related services. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Paul Ruiz, second.
Second.
Chris Becerra. Do I have any questions, comments? Does anybody want to say anything? Rick, do you want to talk about this, address this?
Yeah, I don't want to get too much in the weeds because it's an agreement for architectural services for permanent fencing for all 9 sites. The terms of it is that I will, after tonight, invite this firm to speak at our February 9th board meeting for direction on how to move forward to prioritize construction. And the way the billing works, it's not tomorrow I write them a check for $313,000. It's basically as they work and design out the projects and how it goes through the course of construction, they progress bill. I did make sure that the fees were frozen, for example, the hourly rates for 18 months, because we know some materials, there might be a question here, but they're ready to start have one meeting with each site as we move forward to gather information and design it, get to DSA, and get it out to bid. And then we'd bring back the contracts for the construction side, to move forward. And these dollars to the fiscal impact, including the reimbursable, is $313,000, paid out of the developer fee, Fund 25 account, as a condition of modernizing our sites.
All right, thank you. Do you have any questions?
I just have a couple of comments. You had a lot of allocating. Not only is going to take not a big fan. What's broken down?
So as we have ongoing conversations with the board, the contract as it's presented tonight is pay as you go. If the board chooses to approve this contract for architectural services at our next board meeting, like Rick mentioned, we would have Studio Plus come in and share the cadence of work, the organization of work, timeline of work with the board. And at that time, the board will give us direction if Studio Plus will be instructed to create plans for all 9 sites, or if the board desires to complete the work in phases, which is why we have the quote frozen or valid for 18 months. So if the board desires to prioritize the schools in phases, we have 9 schools, I'll just go 3, 3, and 3. That's the direction the board gives. The first 3 sites, we have the funds allocated, and then direction to cabinet would be cabinet bring us back another set of sites to prioritize for fencing, also discuss the funds that are available. So it's our goal to bring back the funding sources available for the projects that we have needs for, and all 9 sites have a variety of needs when it comes to school fencing. But this agenda item is not agendized such that the board is making a decision on prioritizing phase-in work or all 9 sites at this time. However, the protection built into this agenda item is such that if the board chooses not to move forward with all 9 sites at one time, that we have a quote guarantee for 18 months, such that Rick won't have to go back out and get another quote for architectural services for fencing, but we can utilize the numbers within this quote as the board is prioritizing and making decisions, giving direction to cabinet for the next 18 months. Yes. It depends on the direction that we're given on February 9th as to how the agenda item is written. So if the board gives cabinet direction to prioritize 3 sites only, at first phase 3 sites, second phase 3 sites, third phase 3 sites, we would have to bring back an action item for construction services to build the fences every time. If the board says, no, cabinet, we want you to procure services and a construction quote for all 9 sites at once, then there would only be board approval one time for 9 sites. So it depends on the direction that we're given next week on February 9th. Mm-hmm. Yes, and we'll be, I will be scheduling meetings with each board member to discuss our funding available. As you mentioned, the $1.8 million from RDA funds is available. There's a little bit more, and I won't quote it, just a little bit more. Rick's looking at me because I always overquote, but it's just a little bit more out of the Olinda closeout from that build from a few years ago. So we're at approximately $2 million from RDA and the Olinda money. And then there's other funding sources that I will be sharing with the board. Rick and I will be meeting with the board between now and February 9th if the board approves this agenda item. So you can have all of the information you need to give us that direction at that time at February 9th.
Okay, any
Thank
other
you.
questions? Okay. All right. Preferential vote?
Aye.
Audrey?
It's aye.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion passes 5-0. Moving to the B, increase of Adrian Cabral DBA Libre School Services Agreement. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Chris Becerra, second. Carrie Flanders. Any questions, comments? No? Audrey?
Aye.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion passes 5-0. I do have a comment on this. The boys and girls soccer teams, because we've rained so much, we don't have a turf field, and we've had to do a lot of away games. This would still be included in that, even though there are additional bus fees that were not budgeted.
Well, I mean, when we prepare a budget, we estimate,
Okay.
yes and no to answer
Okay.
your question.
Okay.
Yeah, I
All
mean,
right.
this covers that. Yeah.
All right, perfect, thank you. All right, so we're 5-0 on that, okay. Increased first student transportation services agreement. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Carrie Flanders in a second.
Second.
All right, Chris Becerra. Any questions?
Just a quick,
Yeah.
thank you for talking to me about this the other day when we met, but I also wanted to thank you. I noticed in the Friday report, and we talked about it a little bit, that all of the waiting list students that were not having transportation had now been offered that still needed it, and I appreciated that. I know that was a struggle for some families, so I wanted to thank you for your team. I know you're looking around.
Transportation team.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, shout them out.
Yeah, Jeff, correct mine. Jamie Robinson, Gina. Huh?
CP.
Yeah, but Gina, what's Gina's last name? Trujillo. And CP, we call her CP for short. So they did a wonderful job in reaching out. So, I wish we had more capacity. We only have so many buses and so many routes and so many drivers and services. So, it's going to be a challenge, and moving forward, it's going to be a challenge too.
Yeah, I just I thank you. I thank you, Jeff, and let them know, because it was a big deal to some families who reached out. I didn't even know that was happening and had such hard times. We're going to have to leave our school. It was a big deal, and then you guys took the extra time. So anyway, just wanted to let you know that it's appreciated.
Okay, any other questions? Yeah.
Are we still using Whittier Christian buses? No
longer.
anymore? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Rick answer?
Yeah.
They're not on our home to school transportation regular routes. We might use them for a field trip or a playoff game or something like that. But in general, these are our two home companies that we go to, besides our own internal staff, for home to school transportation, which includes extracurricular.
Okay.
But shout out to Whittier Christian High School for helping us at the beginning of this year. They came through for Brea when we had a contractor set up, and at the last second before August pulled out because they didn't have drivers. Go figure. And so a shout out to them for coming through and giving us 5 routes, 5 drivers, and 5 of the buses. So I just want to get that on the record.
thank you. Any other questions? Okay, Audrey?
Aye.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Okay, motion passes 5-0. Approve Schools First 457B Roth Retirement. Do I have a motion? Gail Lyons, and second?
Second.
Paul Ruiz. Any questions? Audrey?
Aye.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, electrical repair services at Brea Linda High School. This is to ratify the purchase order since this happened over break. Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Paul Ruiz, second?
Second.
Gail Lyons. Okay. Any questions? Rick?
Can I give a shout out, please, for
Yeah,
this?
shout it out.
Because Jeff Ferrato is up in the cheap seats there today. He really tackled this problem. As you can imagine, this is a 30-year-old 400 amp, 800-foot wire that had to be removed. And we were so nervous that we would have to break concrete and asphalt because we thought the break was through an offset of pipes. During Christmas break, we all have families, including Mr. Ferrato, spent his time with his staff, and a shout out to George Martinez too, for doing this during the winter break, during the rain, on a sloppy field, and not to damage so much. So just a shout out to him and his staff for doing this. It was a tough job. The $46,000 is nothing to compare to the effort that went through to make this happen.
Thank you. Those softball girls owe you a big favor.
Your team's hitting it out of the park tonight.
All right, any other questions or comments? Audrey?
Aye.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Okay, motion passes 5-0. Next, change of order proposal from to Adco Roofing. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Carrie Flanders, second.
Second.
Paul Ruiz. Any questions, comments? Audrey?
Aye.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 5-0. Oh, we're to the board calendar. All right. Brenda, you want to say anything about the board calendar?
I can. We have events on our calendar through the start of next school year already. Blink and it's going to be here. But we have our PD Day next Friday, January 27th. So we appreciate all the efforts of our Ed Services Division and our site principals assisting with that and his staff. We have a regular board meeting February 9th, and then February is filled with two holidays, February 13th and 20th, Lincoln and Washington's Day. But just encourage the community to come out and take a look at the open house at Brea Olinda High School on February 16th. So those are really important dates that we have on our calendar. And then an active service, Giving Back, Love Brea, April 22nd. And then, of course, board Put On Your Running Shoes. March 11th is our best track meet. And that's such a fun event where we bring all of our elementary schools together to our high school. So that's what I'd like to highlight tonight. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. There is no continuation to closed session. Any board comments tonight? Go, Carrie.
Well, thank you to Brenda for attending the superintendent's leadership. What's it called? You were humble about it. You didn't.
I did not. Yes, I did not. Take a nod from Audrey. No, I had the pleasure of speaking to aspiring superintendents last weekend in partnership with the University of San Diego and Leadership Associates. So it was great. Yeah, it was a day and a half spent with really dynamic leaders and just sharing, information about superintendents and what we go through and what it's like and words of wisdom and sharing our personal stories. And so, yeah, it was a very humbling and honoring. I was just honored to represent our district with such an esteemed group of colleagues. So thank you. That was
Thank
sweet.
you for taking your weekend to do that. Also,
Thank you.
I am so excited. A shout out to Josh Newman for becoming the chair of the education committee. He's a friend of Brea. I think he's about to be a best friend of Brea if he's going to be on that committee, because we could use like this, right?
Yeah, I've reached out to him already, just so you guys know. To congratulate him. And, I think, not to put you on the spot, but he's coming to judge the crepe contest or something like that.
Yes, he'll be coming back to our school site to visit our French class to judge their annual crepe competition.
Cute.
If his schedule doesn't book with something. He's got it on the calendar, would love to be there, and he's offered to come back multiple times for anything that we want.
Yeah. So I'll get the date and invite you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll coordinate the date and invite our board. So. Yeah,
Good. I was excited to hear that. Good luck to Chris. Oh no, I just wanted to say that out loud. And Dina, it's great seeing you in real life because your first meeting you weren't here,
I
and you
know.
did an amazing job. I just wanted
Thank
to say
you.
that. That's all I got.
And I probably sound a lot better than I did last time, so.
You look great. Too.
Thank
Yeah.
you. All right,
That's all
any
I
other
got for you.
board comments? No? Okay, I got a couple. February 26th is the Brea 8K, and they are desperately looking for volunteers. It's a little bit of a reorganization this year, so get your running shoes out for February 26th if you want to volunteer or if you want to run. And then I had the pleasure of going to the boys and girls soccer games at Brea Junior High. And I just loved the school spirit. There were so many students there watching their cheering on their teammates. The cheerleaders were out, the parents were out, the staff was out. It was just what Brea is. And I just love the community of Brea. And we all have to go to some sporting events. It's just really fun. So wanted to put that. And then I also wanted to say, this is going on my third year, but I started with masks and COVID and not being able to visit. And so some people, I was looking at the game, I'm like, is that a dad that I know? Is that a staff member I know? So please come up and introduce yourself if you see us on here, because it's just been unusual. I'm not as far as I would like to be at this time for knowing people and knowing which campus you're from. And so please just come by and introduce yourself so I don't look like I'm looking at you weird. I would appreciate that. So, okay, so that is it for me. So I guess meeting adjourned, right? Let me use this gavel, guys. All right. Thank you.